Michael Edison joins me, head coach of the Lavelle Lancers. I looked at your record, and I'm an outsider looking in, but I've been around coaches long enough. I look at that record and I say you're having a really good year, but I'm sure the coaches I've been around, they've all got a list of why it isn't quite that rosy. I mean, how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Oh, I've been pleased with a lot of the things we've done. So can't really complain on that. I mean, but you always, and I guess unless you're Bremen and you're undefeated, you always want just a little bit more or do a little bit better or, compete a little bit better. Um, so, but, but in some games, Rusty, we maybe play a half or three quarters fairly well, but we just don't play the four quarters. And I told our guys tonight, if we're going to compete, against the Tritons or the Bremens or the teams that are that next level, because we did with Triton the first time, we have to play four quarters solid. And if we do that, we can hang with those types of teams and maybe get them at the end, but we can't have those lapses. But there's two or three of our guys that have just really stepped up this year, improved, done some really good things, even surpassed my expectations. So that's been nice. And so we'll just keep plugging along. I think we have maybe about seven or eight games left, seven or so. But this will be a big challenge when we play Bremen here.
Do you think some of that has to do with the fact? I mean, you're playing with, you've got some guys with a lot of time on a varsity floor. You got a bunch of other guys that maybe haven't had as much, and maybe haven't been under fire as much. I mean, do you feel some of it has to do with that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, we got all kinds of guys. I mean, no different than any other school, but I've got guys that, they play three sports and basketball might be their third favorite.
Yeah.
And that's all right. We take them, we appreciate what they do, and they do a great job for us, but it's not like, it's also a demanding season. It's a long season.
Yeah.
And we played some pretty good teams, I think, so far this year. I mean, we lost to Jimtown, we lost to Triton twice. We lost to Westview. Westview was really tough.
Yeah.
Manchester. But yes, a few of those teams, it's like we can play really well, and it's going to be tough for us to get a win because they're just quality teams, really good opponents. So I really can't. Oh, we lost to Wawasee in the tournament over there, and they've got several players that are just really tough. So, yeah, to answer your original question, yeah, I'm pleased so far. But, if you start getting pleased or getting a little bit, satisfied, that's when it goes south in a hurry.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. I remember when we talked back at the Wawasee tournament time, you were pleased with a lot of stuff that happened there because you came through some adversity. I mean, some things you didn't expect, players sick and things like that.
Yeah.
And you still got where you got there. I remember that.
Yeah, and I mean to a quality Wawasee team that we lost to in overtime. I mean that was you don't like those moral victories, but you also have to be realistic and you have to celebrate those things with guys because you don't want to beat people down because that's no good either.
Right.
Around this time of year, you start seeing teams that are probably better than how they play, but they've just been beat down the whole season and they're just kind of starting ready to be done and get to spring and play baseball or do something else. And we don't want to be that team. We want to finish strong.
Talk about what you think you got to do to finish strong. I mean, I'm sure you got a checklist. What are the two or three things that are on your mind that you really need to get better at?
Well, I think always focus. Just that mental part of the game is always so big. And I told our guys tonight, finishing up practice, I said, yes, I don't have to tell you guys twice that Bremen is a really good team. We know they're 7 in the state for our class. They're solid. I said, but you guys can stay with them 1 possession. You can stay with them 2 possessions. I said, I said, so it'll come down to this for us in most games. It's how well do we take care of the ball, and then do we get high quality shots? And if we do that, we can stay with them or anyone else. And there's other facets to the game, but just being patient. It doesn't mean you don't go quick at sometimes or attack, but just getting what we want to get rather than the other team forcing us into something that's not good for us.
Yeah.
And just getting our guys to just kind of understand that difference, to know, hey, this is a good shot in this situation right now, but it might not be in this type of situation. And so just kind of understanding all those aspects of the game, if we keep improving that way, I think we'll make strides in that direction and maybe have a better chance at winning some more games.
Talk about some of your guys too. I mean, I got to be honest with you. Your son Lance, from this year to last year to this year, I mean, he's obviously spent a lot of time working on his game. But I mean, Braden Foster, just between the Triton games, I thought got better. You got a lot of guys that are giving you a lot of really quality minutes.
Yes. Braden's one of those guys. I'll talk about Braden for a second, where he might not score as many points as Lance, but he's very easily, lots of times, our most valuable player because he just does so many things for us. I mean, he rebounds, he plays tough post defense. He just knows all the plays. He's valedictorian in his class. He's just a really smart player. Passes well for a big man. I never feel uncomfortable when the ball's in his hand towards the end of the game or something, because he's just strong with the ball. And he's just steady. He's improved from last year. And you said even just from a couple games, but
Right.
Lance has really worked on his game. He's really wanted to get better and really focused on that, and he's done a nice job. But we also have other guys, Ryan Monhu. I didn't really know how much he would play for us this year, and he's just a high-quality player for us, just integral part of what we do and very much needed. We have kind of our sixth man, Caleb Skiles, has just really improved throughout the year and given us good minutes and just come in with confidence the last few games and just shot the ball well for us. And so we just I've just been happy with a lot of the guys and the way they've progressed.
Monhu, you mentioned him, and I remember clearly that first Triton game. I mean, if he's not there, you probably don't go to overtime. I mean, he had an outstanding game that night.
Yeah, he did. That was one of his best, offensively, defensively, and just he just really did a nice job for us. Because they were really keying in on Lance and did a good job on him, and he just really stepped up for us. And then Andre Gonzalez, he's had some nice games here. With Andre, any of our guards, we just want our guards making good decisions and being unselfish. Lance, him, Liam, and just finding that open man. And when we do that, we're unselfish, good things happen.
I'm going to mention something. I hope it makes you laugh a little bit because it made me laugh. Watching Braden Foster play. You talk about watching Braden Foster play. You talk about a blast from the past. All of a sudden, it went through my head. Brandon Eggleston. Yes, that is the kind of player he was. He lets you play the offense you want to play because you can bring him out from under the basket, and he's going to handle the ball almost like a guard.
Yes. He's exactly like Eggleston. Yeah, setting good, solid screens. Just doing all those little things for us. That's interesting that you bring him up.
I just thought of that, and the other night when I was watching you guys play Triton, I'm like, he reminds me so much of you. And the thing Eggleston used to tell me, I'd ask him, what's your responsibility on defense? And he says, to make nobody want to come into the paint. So I get that with him. He's just that kind of player.
Yeah, and he's hard nosed, and he's a competitor, and he also gets on that floor. He'll dive
Yep.
on that floor after things, and yeah, he's just a guy you definitely want on your side.
Let's talk about the team you got tonight a little bit. I mean, you already started telling how you've broken them down a little bit for you guys. But when you look at Bremen, obviously you see Chase Devine, but he's far from alone over there.
Yes, and some teams have tried some box and one on him, and it doesn't work because they have other guys. And so I'm kind of going back and forth in my mind over the weekend. What do we want to do? Do we want to try some junk defense? Do we want to, what do we want to do? And, at the end of the day, we got to play solid defense on all their guys. You got to shade Divine a little bit, but he's such a good passer. And they just have other guys. Now, the one thing is if they do get in a little bit of foul trouble, I don't know if they are as deep as maybe some other teams, but man, their starting five are awful good, 5 or 6. Tiener might be one of the best post players, and he probably ranks right under. I don't know if you've seen that CMA post player,
Yeah.
but he's a solid inside presence, and he can step out and shoot the 3.
Yeah,
doggone it.
Yeah, I know the guy I work with, Peyton Skirvin, he really likes Tiener. He liked him a lot last year, said he thought he was really going to be good.
Yeah. Yep, he's a fun one to watch, except when we're playing.
How about the fun guys you have to watch, your guys? I mean, what do you want to do tonight? What do you got to get done to get a win?
So it's just being patient on that offensive end. If we have the ball, they can't score. And that doesn't mean we're going to try to stall, but it just means that we want to be patient and maybe just work them just a little bit longer, and get as high percentage good look as we can. And then we just got to make them work on defense. We got to force some other guys even to step up and knock in some shots and just not give Divine easy ones. You start letting him get good, clean looks from 3-point range or drives or pull-ups, it's just going to be a long night quick. And just try to stay in it. Can we stay in it for, few minutes? Can we make it to the end of the quarter? And if we do, we've done our job. Let's try for another quarter and just see what we can do and see if we can just stay with a really quality team.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it as always, and good luck to you tonight. I guess we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. Thanks so much, Rusty.
Michael Edison, head coach at LaVille. Okay, man, thank you. I really do. Matt Miller, head coach of the Bremen Lions, joins me. Man, I'm telling you, we have had and will continue to have a lot of conversations that involve Chase Devine. But the other night, something that I noticed with him that I have over the years, and it's something that I saw in the guy you're going to be coaching against tonight when he used to play, that little smile that says, my God, I love doing this. I love playing this game.
Jeez.
And for somebody like me who's seen a lot of basketball, that makes it fun for me to watch, knowing he's just having fun.
That's really cool that you noticed that. Yeah, you're right. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. There's nothing he'd rather do, no other place he'd rather be. And that includes practice, which is nice. You know what I mean? He keeps a little bit of joy for practice too. And certainly not every kid is built that way. So yeah, it was cool that he is having the time of his life, when he's doing that. And certainly Saturday night was a great night for him to have a good time and really soak it up and enjoy the fruits of his labor, so to speak. So that was really cool.
And and we've also talked about how smart he is. And, I also got the feeling that maybe he's smart enough that in the back of his head, he's putting this game on film to kind of say, hey, I haven't taken a game on my shoulders yet. Doesn't mean I can't do it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
That's exactly what he did.
For sure, especially to to just get it going. To get it going so fast for us, just kind of lets the air out of the balloon early for everybody. It's like, all right, Chase has got it going. We can all breathe a little bit easier, that kind of thing. And some of the game pressure kind of comes off for sure. And yeah, and one thing we noticed, didn't notice, I mean, we went into the game hoping they would unfold that way, but we wanted to get him off the ball and then get him a bunch of jump shots because against Culver's zone. So the nice thing about that was the other guys did their job and found him, and he was able to get that jumper cooking. And yeah, it was game over early, thankfully. So which was great.
Let's talk about those other guys because he's far from alone. Riley Teener continues to be just. You see different aspects of his game every time you see him, but I also remember having a discussion with you really early in the year about Bryce and, hoping that he would figure out who he was in this. And, boy, he is really playing well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, those guys are both getting it figured out. And those three guys have grown up playing together. They're the same group. They're best buddies. They just find each other really naturally. Doesn't have to be schemed up too well. So those guys have a nice flow. And yeah, Riley's got an all-dimensional offensive game. From all layers of the court, he's one of the best jumpers on the team. Obviously, he's a big guy with great touch inside. So he's somebody that we just want to feed all the time. And then Bryce really came into his own, slashing and driving and getting the ball to the basket and using his length to play up high over the top of some people, and which has been great to see. And the two of them combined now are a perfect 67% from twos in the season. So basically, if we throw it to the tall guys close to the basket, every 3 times we do that, 2 of them are going in. So that's been a really nice thing for us to kind of rely on as a counterpunch to Chase. And yeah, they're doing an awesome job. Hartlieb is always doing a great job. He's even a fourth scorer for us on a lot of nights. And so yeah, it's been nice to have some balance there for sure.
You mentioned him, and I know my partner really likes him, especially the way he plays defense, how hard he plays defense on the other side. And, having that guy too just makes it that much harder for another team.
I think so too. Yeah, it does. His defense is really good when he really locks into it, and so which is nice because we've been really leaning on that defense a lot this year. So to have him do that, and then he's certainly a more than adequate ball handler, which is nice too. So that's certainly I like to have at least 2 guys that can really handle it on the floor at one time, and he gives us that luxury. So yeah, so he didn't fill it up like he did in the Bi-County, but he's had some really big nights. His jumper is really looking good lately. So. He can do a lot of things for us.
Your guys off the bench too. The times I've seen you here recently, you got guys that are giving you good, solid minutes that allow those other guys to come off, and you don't really you at least hold serve where you're at when they come out.
Yeah, those guys have been doing a great job. So just to mention their name, Jack Wildauer coming off the bench, Owen Noonemaker coming off the bench. Those guys have been doing a phenomenal job. And one thing I want to give them credit a lot for too, and we did that in practice this week. We thought that we were well prepared for our Bi-County opponents because of how well our scout team played last week, which is it's a very, very unsung thing. And but it made a big difference that they played. They simulated Triton stuff well, and they simulated Culver stuff well. And so that was a big part of that. So those guys are leaning into their job during the week, and then they're doing a good job when they get in games, which has been awesome. So it's nice to have. It's just great when you get full team contributions. It's good for your team juju and your team mindset and all that stuff.
Well, you also end up undefeated at this point in the year when you got all those things going too, man. I mean,
yeah, it does help.
You got to take some credit too, because I mean, I'm watching these guys, and it feels like you let them be them. There's not this. You let them explore their talents and do what they do, and it all just works together.
Thanks. Now, if you ask them separately, they're like, well, coach told me I can't do this, and this. So they might not fully agree with you. So there might be some truth on both sides of that. I appreciate that. We certainly have been trying to we kind of have stepped back a little bit this year to say, okay, you know what, these guys do these things well, so let's just lean into it and let's see if we can make it work. And there's certainly things that we've kind of taken away and said, well, now we're going to do a couple of things this way, especially on the defensive end. But Yeah, those guys, we kind of leaned into what they do, and to their credit, it's a group of guys that have played a lot of basketball and done a lot of work. So they're not just kind of freewheeling it. They have something to rely on, some knowledge to play off of, and a little bit of basketball IQ, it does make it easier for sure as a coach. Thanks, Rusty. I appreciate it as always.
Matt Miller, head coach at Bremen. Travis Smith, head coach of the Plymouth Rockies Wrestlers, joins me here on our Saturday morning coaches show. I wanted to catch back up with you, man, because you're hosting the sectional. Actually, by the time we play this, you're probably out on the mat right now. I wanted to catch up with how your guys are doing. How do you feel about where you're at right now?
We have a super young team. Out of the 12 starters, so there's 14 weight classes. We're missing 106 and 113. Sometimes it's hard to find those little guys.
Yeah.
But out of the 12 starters, 9 are either freshmen or sophomores. So we have a super young team. We look forward in the future of what those guys are going to be like when they're a little older. Right now, it's still a learning curve for them. They're still, they all work hard. They're great kids. In the room trying to get better. It's just one of those things, man, where when you're a freshman wrestling varsity, it can be tough. So we got a couple good kids that got seated decent, and then the rest, they're just working hard trying to find their way right now.
I was going to say, and it's one of those sports, and I remember. I look at your daughter and Caroline, both Angel and Caroline. I got a chance to talk with them last week, and how intelligent they are. And honestly, every wrestler I've ever talked to is a bright guy or girl. I mean, there's a lot of intellect that goes into this, and if you're a senior, that experience is invaluable.
Yeah, it's huge. You see a lot of teams when they like. I mean, for instance, the year I think 2 years ago when we had we had a really good team, and I had 5 or 6 seniors that year.
Yeah.
That were leading the way, and then we had some juniors and sophomores, and so this year we only have 2 seniors. Both of them are multi-sport athletes that they haven't really had the time to put into wrestling to really develop their skills. I mean, they're great kids. They work hard. It's just one of those situations, man, where when you have a big senior class that's leading the way, they're all on the same page, working together. That kind of brings a synergy into the room, and that's kind of what we're trying to build right now. Wrestling takes it definitely takes intelligence. You can't be a dummy and go out and wrestle, because there's so much that goes on mentally. You have to be able to overcome the nerves, because it's just you out there. It's not anybody else to blame. It's you. And so you have to be able to overcome the nerves, overcome the fight or flight instincts. And then you have to be able to adapt on the fly, think about decisions, and the decisions that you're going to have to make in the match, and you don't get time to think about it. It's I got to make a decision right now. Sometimes you make the right one, sometimes you make the wrong one. The more experience that you have and the more times you've been in this situation, though, you're going to make the right decisions more times than not.
That's the thing that fascinates me about the sport, is the decision making, because some guy, you got to read everything he's doing. What's he going to try to do to me? What's he going to do here? And you read every movement, but he may get you in that position you don't want to be in. You still got to have the calmness and the coolness to choose the right way to escape from what he's got you in if you want to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what we really preach in the room is position, position, position. Like, you have to be in good position. And when you get out of position is when, or when you get your opponent out of position, that's when you attack. And so the emphasis on position and understanding position is one of the key focuses in our room. The other thing that we really talk a lot about is effort, not getting frantic, not being afraid to lose. A lot of times people will wrestle not to lose instead of wrestling to win. And so, there's a lot of mentality that goes into it, man. And that's probably my best attribute as a coach is I really focus, at this point in my career, I allow my sons to teach a lot of the technique. Obviously I get out there and I teach technique too, but my sons are great technicians. And so they're young, they like to wrestle with the guys. And so I allow them to teach a lot of the technique. And then I follow up with the mentality, the conversations about mentality, match IQ, things like that.
You make a good point there because your sons are at an age where it's not they get legitimacy by the simple fact number one, they walk the walk. They're just not just talking the talk, and they can still walk the walk. If they got something to show somebody, they can literally show them.
Oh yeah, the cool thing about us, and I think it's what kind of makes us special as a coaching staff is everyone in our coaching staff is not just my sons, but our other assistant coaches. We got Tristan Rodriguez back this year, and we got Mike Souders, that is the head coach in the middle school, and he comes into the high school room. Alonzo Shantea is one of our assistant coaches, and he's like my fifth son.
Yeah.
And so they all train at my gym, that at Hybrid Combat Club. They all come there, they do jiu-jitsu, they wrestle, they all still actively train and compete at my gym. And so walking the walk, talking the talk, man. I wouldn't have somebody in the room that can't do what they say they're going to do, that can't perform. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
There are guys out there that probably weren't the best practitioners, but they have the mind for wrestling. I'm not discrediting those guys, but when you have a group of guys, a coaching staff that will get out on the mat and sweat with you and bleed with you, that it gives you a little bit of an edge, because these kids know, if I can go out here and wrestle with my coaches like this, wrestling a high schooler isn't going to be a problem.
Let's talk about some of your guys too. I mean, I'm sure you got some guys that you got some hopes for that are going to move on further than just the sectional round.
Yeah, we got the guy that's kind of there's two of them that are leading the charge this year. Jesse Allman, he's a junior. He's had a pretty solid season. And then John Kleindunst, he's a senior, and he's been varsity all 4 years. He's been with me since he was a young boy. And so those guys are they're kind of leading the pack, and they got seated. John got seated second. Jesse's high, he's high seated. So they should have no problems moving on. We got a freshman named Cademan Webb that has had he's had a good season for being a freshman, wrestling 138. 138 is a super competitive class.
Yeah.
And Cademan's, he's came out there and done a really good job. And so, we got a lot of guys that are, like I said, they're still trying to find their way. They've, some freshmen that have stepped into a varsity position that don't have a lot of experience. Our heavyweight and our 175, our heavyweights Tavion Warner, and our 175s Malachi Schuler, and they were actually playing basketball first, and decided to come over. Greg Miller and I had a conversation. I made sure that wasn't going to hurt the basketball team. He was good with them making the switch. And so they came in and immediately stepped into a varsity position. And so, it's been a lot of fun this year. It's been definitely a learning curve for us, because we're definitely in a rebuilding phase. And so we kind of had to approach this season differently. But the reward, I can tell you from our first home duel to the team that we are now is night and day. These kids have improved so much.
You mentioned John. I've had a chance to be around him a little bit with the football end of it too. And I mean, just having that kind of a personality in the room has got to help you. I mean, he's infectious, his enthusiasm.
Yeah, John's a good boy. He or a good young man at this point. I've coached John since he was probably 7 or 8 years old. I remember when John was young, and when he was young, he was struggling. because he was a big boy trying to wrestle like a smaller guy,
Right.
and sometimes that's tough. And so we've had to adapt over the years on how to develop his wrestling, and he's done really well, man. And he's actually to a point now to where he can hit those low singles, and he's doing pretty well this year.
You mentioned earlier these guys are night and day from the way they started. I mean, as a coach at the close to the end of the year for you, I mean, honestly, that's every coach in every sport I've ever talked to. That's what they say. We just want to be better at the end of the year than we were at the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal. What is the season for? The season is for improvement, and let's see where we can get. We start here. Let's see where we end up. And so, sometimes, man, you feel like you have to be a miracle worker. Like you're racking your brain because I take it personal. I feel like it's my responsibility. If these guys are struggling, then that's on me.
Yeah.
I need to figure out how to help them get to where they want to be. Now the other thing is effort on their behalf. If everybody's giving effort, there will be improvement. And so, like I said, they are a totally different team than they were back in November.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time talking to me, and good luck to you guys on Saturday. It's at Plymouth. What time does it start?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Anybody wants to get out and see? A lot of the area teams are over there too. I think Triton and Culver and everybody else. Bremen, I believe, is over there too. So a lot of folks,
Rochester, Triton.
Yeah, get out and
Rochester, Triton, Culver, CMA, Bremen, Caston. There's a lot of area schools.
So get out and see them, and it's at Plymouth. So, man, thanks for taking the time again, and we'll stay in touch, especially if you guys get moving on. We'll want to get to talk about them a little more.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, Rusty. Thank you.
Travis Smith, head wrestling coach at Plymouth. Argus head basketball coach Nick Kindig joins me for this segment, and I wanted to catch back up with you because the last time that I saw you play, you'd just gotten back your two guys, Helms and Calhoun, and it was really clear they made a big difference. How do you feel about how your guys are gelling now that they've had a couple more weeks to get into the flow?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's starting to kind of figure out where their role, what they need to do. I think everybody now is, kind of comfortable in what we're trying to accomplish offensively, defensively, and leadership roles, that type of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think we're now where we anticipated to be at the beginning of the season roster wise, but I think we still obviously got a long way to go. I think our guys are maybe getting a little too comfortable now because we have everybody back, and I think everybody just thought it was going to be perfect after that. And we still got to keep getting better every day. But now we have our full team, so it's a lot easier to be ready to go every day and keep getting better. So.
I know that you make a good point there too, and I saw Oregon Davis play the other night, and that's got to be a good win. I can't figure out how they haven't won more games either because they got some pieces. You were able to get them, and then 4 days later you come back and play again. What a wonderful scheduling situation that is! But that's got to feel like a good win for you guys.
Yeah, I think right now we have the belief that we can beat anybody. Obviously we haven't, but I think now we believe that we can play with anybody on any given night. I think especially at home, our confidence level being a younger team, and we've talked about it. I think we show up expecting to win at home, and I think on the road we got a lot of work to do on the road being a young team, but I think anybody at home, we can play well. We shoot a lot better at home, and that's just part of having young guys with not a lot of experience. So yeah, we were obviously very disappointed not to get them the second time at their place. We had opportunities. We got up, I think, 8 there in the third quarter and ended up giving up the lead pretty quickly there. So we actually got a good shot at the buzzer. Great look at the buzzer to win that game, but we kind of lost it there in the third quarter. I think we got a little too comfortable. I mean, I think that's kind of the theme of our team right now is just we get too comfortable and we need to have a chip on our shoulder all the time in anything we do instead of just relaxing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're obviously disappointed. We had a really good opportunity with kind of how the County draw panned out. I thought we had a great opportunity to get to that championship game, and we turn around and go 2 in it. So we were disappointed, but we have a week kind of here to reset. Moving on. But I think there was a lot of disappointment on how last week went.
Talk about your offense, though. I mean, looking at the numbers, once again, I'm just looking at the paper. I haven't actually, honestly, as you know, seen you guys play, but your offensive numbers seem to be getting up to a point where I feel like you gotta, I'm putting words in your mouth now. You gotta feel pretty good about how much more offense you're able to put on the board.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we talked about, when those guys came back, the difference, and obviously Mac and Zane scoring wise, but defensively too, I've been harping defense for a year and a half now. We gotta be a lot better defensively. Mac's probably averaging 10 plus rebounds since he's came back. Zane's probably averaging 15, 20, somewhere along there. So, it's obviously nice to have those guys back, but we're still the results aren't where we'd like them to be. We're right there. Those first 6 games, I think we got running clocked every game. So we've obviously came a long way, but we still have a lot of room to improve. And we're scoring the ball a lot more, but I still think we got to be way better defensively if we want to win some games down the stretch and make a run during sectional.
Well, and obviously with a young team, defense is the thing you got to hang your hat on because you can play that every night. Offense isn't always there.
Yep, absolutely. And we talk about that. Especially on the road, it seems like we don't score as much on the road, and defense travels. Like you just said, so we got to bring that effort and energy every night. And sometimes we do. I not as consistent as I would like. We hold Oregon Davis to 40 points the first time we play them, and then we turn around. We only gave up 47, but there was a lot of things defensively we didn't do that we did against them the first time. So, we just gotta. With that young group, with young guys that don't have a lot of experience, defense is difficult for those guys, and we need to really hang our hat on that, and we struggle to do that.
I know the kind of team, the makeup of your team, as young as they are, inexperienced as they are, other than a few guys. I'm sure you knew, looking at it, this is going to be one of those years when you measure your success, maybe not on the win and loss column, but on, are we getting better? Are we making progress? You've gotten to about the halfway point here. How do you feel about where you're at? Have you made progress? Are you better than you were?
Yeah, it's kind of been game by game. Obviously after the Pioneer game, we were excited. We had everybody back and we won. Then we had a little bit of break over Christmas break. Went to Trinity, and I didn't feel like we played well. I think we've kind of, like I said, being comfortable, kind of plateaued here. Last week was obviously disappointing for coaching staff and us, but I think the players kind of felt that too. So there's kind of one or two ways we can go with this. We can either put our heads down and keep getting better, or just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. So, there's some things that we've gotten a lot better at, and there's some things that we have not gotten better at that we should be being almost in February now. So, our guys' effort for the most part is really good, but I think just seeing the big picture and the grind of basketball every day for 4 months it's tough, especially again with young guys. So our guys got to see that and see the big picture. We got a few conference games left, and some games that I think we can win when we got 6 games left. So it's kind of season drags on, but also flies by at the same time, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
we want to be playing our best basketball in the season. I felt like we did last year for the most part, but we didn't necessarily have wins to show for that. But we want to get to that point where we're playing our best basketball when it comes March.
I know that you got a timeline, things you want to put in place, things you want to have done. You get to this point. What are the things? let's start with things you feel like you got to get better at here. Maybe two or three things that you're looking at and saying, if we want to do what we want to do this year, we just got to be better at these things. I mean, what's on that checklist for you?
Yeah, I talk about defense all the time, being able to switch defenses, being able to adapt to teams' changes that they make. We can change all we want, but we still got to be able to adapt to the changes the opponent makes. And I think a lot of it, we've been turning the ball over too much. I think we've had a few games with 20 plus, and that you're not going to beat anybody doing that. We got to limit our turnovers. I feel like a lot of times it seems all the turnovers are live ball turnovers where it's just a free 2 points for the opponent. It's not where we're just making a bad pass that goes out of bounds. It seems like it's a bad pass that's live ball. They're able to just make one pass and get a layup. And those are just killers, I think we can limit our turnovers, keep them down to. Our goal is always 12. We talk about it. We want to keep around 12 turnovers, but we've had a few games where we've had 20 as a team, and among few players, above 5, and that just can't. Yeah. We're not going to beat anybody doing that.
How about the things you feel that you're doing well? I'm sure there's some positives that you've seen that make you excited for the future. What have you seen that you're doing well?
Yeah. I think, mostly at home again. I think we've been shooting the ball pretty well, or a lot better than maybe we anticipated. We're getting some things from our role players, here and there, that we need. And they're giving effort. In the games they're giving effort. Some days in practice I'm not as happy with effort as much as they probably think they're doing. But for the most part, they bring it every day and try to get better. It's just we just got to have that sense of urgency and not getting comfortable. And they're willing to make changes. They're listening and trying to get done what we want to get done as a staff. But I'm really happy with that. And kind of all the stuff we've dealt with. They're hanging in every day and still giving their effort. So I'm happy with that.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time again. I appreciate it, and good luck to you. And I'm sure we're seeing you down the line. I know we've got the Bell game, so we're going to be seeing you before the end of the year. And good luck to you the rest of the way.
Sweet, thank you.
And we're going to take a break. That is Nick Kindig, the head coach at Argus. And Matt Arbison, head wrestling coach at Triton, joins me for this segment of the Saturday Coaches Show. Just wanted to get back and check in with you guys. It's been a heck of a year for Triton Wrestling. I know we talked last time about your girls and the fact that, they had pretty much a full roster all year, which is just amazing given, the size of your school. But, your boys, I'm guessing a lot of that stems from that tradition because your boys' team has always been one of the better ones around.
Well, yeah, I would think year to year we got a pretty steady flow of wrestlers that come through in the high school. Would we always like to have more, of course, and would we like to retain the kids that we lose along the way? Absolutely, but I always feel good in the end about the group that we end up with. They're the ones that, we're going to be the committed ones anyways, and they were the ones that were going to be coachable and work hard and all that. So, at the end of every year, you always feel good about where you're at.
Let's talk about the end of the year, though, too. It's got to be a different thing for you heading into the sectional because you don't know who. Obviously, you had the draw and but you could wrestle anybody from Plymouth or Glenn or Culver or Warsaw or whoever's in that sectional. It's got to be a different strategy for you, especially team-wise.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, I wish I could say that we were in contention to win a team title, but, fact of the matter is with a few forfeits in the lineup right there, you're kind of taking yourself out of it unless you miraculously have like 10 champions, But, yeah, so we kind of take a little more individual approach. We're hoping to score points as a team and all that, but, it's like this week especially has been very individualized workouts for the kids, and a little bit of that to do with, who they're wrestling or who they drew. But frankly, we didn't know that until last night on Wednesday. So, really, it's really about just getting better in the few spots that we can get better at, and in a short amount of time, that will pay dividends. Other than that, it's just really staying sharp and just trying to give themselves the best chance that they can to go as far as they can. I mean, that's really what it's all about every year.
Talk about the fact, you could. This is the weird thing. Do you think they're ever going to go to class system in wrestling? And I'm not trying to start a controversy or anything, but I mean, you're in a sectional with some teams. There's some small 1A schools are in with Penn and people like that, and that's a big jump for some of those guys. At the same time, I get it. It's an individual sport, and you got to compete with the best to win anyway. I mean, what are your feelings about that?
I think if you had asked me that 15 years ago, I would have said, I like the one class system, one true state champion, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, fast forward a few years, I think the better part of the last 10 years now, our coaches association has put together a class team state format. And a lot of the state has latched on to that because we all like that team aspect. It's not all about how good are your individuals doing. It's about how the team is, top to bottom. So since they've introduced that, so it's probably about a decade ago now, I think the small schools have had a reason to kind of take off. And we played our part. We qualified for that 2 or 3 times when it first started, and it was a lot of fun. It was nice because we were right. We weren't in a duel against Penn,
Yeah.
or Mishawaka, those teams that that are just frankly they're really good. But yeah, it's been nice. I don't know. I think that's also taken the pressure off of the IHSA a little bit, saying they got their team format over there run by the Coaches Association. It's not a big necessity right now for us to change up the format at all. So I think that's just kind of where it's at. We're in this moment where there's not a lot of griping about it, simply because we have this system that's kind of working and keeping most teams happy.
Yeah, and I see where you're coming from. I remember when I was a player, we were, in baseball especially, it was like we felt like we could play with anybody, so bring them all on. But when the push comes to shove, Penn has thousands of kids to choose from. You got a few hundred. I mean, it can't help but make a difference.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you just think percentage wise, the likelihood of a room full of 10 wrestlers being athletic kids is pretty high,
Yeah.
and at Triton, I might have 18 kids in the room with only 3 of them that are athletically talented. And the rest of them, every single bit of success they have is purely off of their hard work and dedication. So in our sense, we really grasp onto that mentality, right? Like we're teaching kids the value of the sport and what it's teaching them to become better people, when all is said and done. And in some aspects, I think we have the advantage there.
And you bring up a good point there too, because wrestling is that kind of sport where you don't have to be as good an athlete as the guy across from you. It's one of those sports where through sheer hard work and dedication, you can make yourself a good player or a competitive player.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I got a handful on my team right now that are winning matches against kids that look and probably are way more athletically talented than them. But, just like I said, they put in the work over the last, some of them the last 6, 7 years. And, all that hard work shines through in the end. If all things are equal between a hard worker versus just an athlete who's out there wrestling. So, but yeah, it is fun. It's rewarding on the coaching side. It's rewarding for the kids when they earn that success that the goals they're attaining. And like I said before, though, like even if they don't attain their goals, like they always leave as seniors and coming back, and they talk about, like, they don't talk about the match that they lost at end of the senior year. They're usually talking about the fun times they had, and a few of them will tell me about like how they used these lessons of discipline and self-sacrifice and stuff in their careers, their families, and all that stuff is way more rewarding in big teams at all. So.
Let's talk about some of those guys. I mean, I'm sure you got guys you got high hopes for coming up on Saturday. I mean, who are those guys, and how do you feel about them?
Yeah, I mean, we got probably I don't know 2 or 3 kids that we have pretty high hopes for. Got a sophomore, David Rowley's at 138 for us. His record doesn't show how good he is. He really has come along really fast in the last year and a half for us. But again, he's that kid that has committed year round, and so that's really helped him, pick up the pace as far as what he's able to learn and have success with. So he's in that 138 bracket, and it's a tough bracket. There's a lot of good, even level competition in that, where he could go anywhere from 6th place all the way up to the championship match. So he has the ability to do that. We got our 165 Gage Pelt. He's actually he's actually a move-in, and we're just talking about Penn system. He actually is a move-in from Penn, so he of all the places, right? And but he wasn't like a varsity starter or anything for them last year, but he's been through that system long enough to know some good wrestling, and he does a really good job of just kind of staying even keeled on the mat and real solid. Nothing flashy, but he gets the job done. He only has, he has 2 losses this year, going into the sectional, which is really good for him. And then probably our third one is Colt Reynolds. He's a senior, one of our football studs, but he's that kid that just eats it up. Like, he eats up everything wrestling and hard work and dedication, and tell me what I need to do and I'm going to do it. And he could just let me go, So he's in the 190 bracket, which is another tough bracket, but he's up there for a reason. And we were just talking about how excited we are because he actually got a challenging draw. Some kids kind of get bent out of shape by that type of thing when it doesn't go their way in the draw. But I don't know. We were both just talking there about how exciting it's going to be. To battle through it all, and and if we come out on top, great. But yeah, those are our big 3, and then we have a handful of other kids that, on paper it doesn't look like much, but they are capable kids, and if they have just a good day of wrestling, there's a few surprises in there too. And that happens every year for us. I swear to you, Rusty, every single year. There's one kid that's not on my radar that somehow something happens, and next thing you know, he's a regional qualifier. So that'll be exciting to see which kid that is.
Talk about the team as a whole. I mean, every coach I talk to in every single sport talks about, the goal is that you want to be better at the end of the year than you were at the beginning. Do you feel that way about this group? I mean, are they better than they were when they walked in on day one?
Well, hands down, they're better, for sure. It's just like in any sport, I suppose. You see varying degrees of how much better that is. But the cool thing about wrestling is it's all tied to, how committed were you? Like, how hard did you work every day? Did you make it to all the practices? Were you still lifting weights during the season? Were you eating right? All those types of things play a huge role in the success of a wrestling season. And it's true to form. I mean, wrestling doesn't lie to anybody. It's going to reward you if you're a hard worker and you're dedicated, and it knows when you're slacking off. And when you're slacking off, you don't reap those benefits. It's kind of easy to say, but it truly is that simple in a nutshell, especially in our sport. And so, yes, have I seen improvement? Absolutely. I've seen improvement in the kids that definitely have earned, and I'm happy with that. It gives me a reason to kind of challenge the other ones that maybe weren't so focused all the time. But at the end of the day, the ball's in their court, right? And they, at some point, if they want to be good in the sport, they got to step up to that level. So it'll be interesting to see like how it finishes this year, and then it'll be more interesting to see what is the response of the kids that are going to be coming back next year. Are they ready to kind of pack it up for the year and wait till next October, or are they ready to stay hungry and get some off season? So a lot of unknowns, I guess, but it's always exciting to see who's ready to take it to the next level.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time. As always, I appreciate it. I know that you don't get paid a lot, and there's a lot of long hours, and I appreciate you willing to take some time with us. And good luck to you Saturday, and hopefully we'll talk again about some of your guys moving on.
Yeah, sounds great, Rusty. Thanks.
It's Matt Arbison, the head wrestling coach at Triton. And before we start our Athlete of the Week interview, just wanted to make something clear. Perrin Carrington, our Athlete of the Week from Culver, for, obviously, he was the outstanding wrestler at the HNAC tournament over the last weekend. And then a couple of days later was named to the Academic All-State football team as well. Darren is deaf, and so this is a first for me. I've never interviewed someone who is deaf before. His mother, Kendall, is our interpreter in this interview, and her voice is the one you hear. And so let's just go into it. What a wonderful young man, and Darren Carrington. We're with Darren Carrington. He's our Tony the Boss Ross Athlete of the Week this week. And man, I'm gonna tell you, congratulations. You had a heck of a week last week. Not just being the most outstanding wrestler at the HNAC meet, but then you come back to school the next week and you're on the All-State team for Academic All-State football. So congratulations for all that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here.
Let's talk about last week. I mean, what did that feel like? I mean, first of all, let's start with the wrestling. I mean, what did that feel like on Saturday?
Well, to be honest with you, Saturday it felt pretty natural. It just felt like everything was kind of going my way. Things were flowing. I had 3 straight pins in all my matches, and that part didn't feel like a big deal. But after my final match, it just was like, man, finally I got my goal. I achieved my goal. I hugged my coach. I hugged my dad, and that was really thrilling. It's something I thought about for a long time. I really want something I could check off my bucket list. I wanted my picture on that wall of fame. So,
well, talk about your, going on here. I mean, I'm sure you would like to win sectional. You'd like to keep going. I mean, what's your goal for wrestling?
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow is sectional. My goal is, last year I did make it to regional. So this year my goal is semi-state, to see if I can achieve that. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. But I do want to win sectional first. That's my goal. And then regional, we'll see how that goes.
You probably know, I mean, in wrestling, you have a pretty good idea who you're probably going to be seeing that next week. I mean, I'm sure you had a chance to size up some of those guys.
Yeah, a few of them, yes.
Size up a few of those guys. I mean, how do you feel about your chances?
For sectionals or?
As you go on for sectionals, but I mean, even after that, I mean, you're going to face some really tough guys.
It is going to be really tough. As far as my chances go, if I'm able to focus on keeping good position and my movement, I think I'll have a good chance, but it is going to be really tough, you're right. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I believe I did have a good shot, yeah.
Talk about the football thing a little bit. I mean, Academic All-State, that's got to feel good too. I mean, what did you think when that came through?
So first, I made the 1A All-State team for defensive linemen. That I was not expecting. I couldn't believe it when my coach told me. And that was, again, really the first time that I achieved my goal. I wanted my picture on that wall of fame, a patch on my jacket kind of thing. And then academic All-State came after that, and that was just kind of an extra bonus thing. Made me feel even better. I got a picture on that wall, too. So I'll have my picture on the one wall for wrestling and football, and the other wall for my academic grades. And that wasn't something I was thinking about as much, but that feels kind of like an extra bonus, and I'm happy about that. I'm really thrilled. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you this. You are a coach's favorite. Every coach that I've talked to that has you on their team is absolutely ecstatic that you're on their team. And I got to be honest with you, you're my favorite too, man. Watching you play football, you got a motor. I was really, how do I put this? I love to see guys play that hard. And you obviously did. Maybe a little bit undersized on defensive line, but you still kept going after folks. I mean, that's got to give you some pride that a lot of people are looking at you and saying, that's a guy I want other guys to be like.
Yeah, that's really, it does make me feel good, but you're never really too small to have big dreams like that. It doesn't matter that I'm small and compact, I'm short, but I've achieved my goals. And another thing, good example that I can set, like you said, is work ethic, to stay focused and to really give it your all, to put your heart into what you're doing. And yeah, that's what I really was all about.
What gets you going? I mean, what is it that motivates you? And you get up in the morning and you know you're going to be giving your all at everything you do. What is it that makes you do that?
Number one, first and foremost in my life, working out is just what I love, even more than sports. The working out, the lifting helps me do better as an athlete. Helps me work hard, helps me with my technique, but I just can't overstate the importance of that. Something that I really enjoy. So when I can devote myself to that and really achieve what I want in that area, then when it comes to wrestling and football and track, I feel like those go really well, and I can give the same amount of intensity to those things. At night, I eat a lot. That helps me. Then the next day, I do the same thing. I know school's important. I'm not trying to leave that out. It's not my favorite, but I know it's important. I realize that. But yeah, just doing it every day, day after day. That's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. But yeah.
I was going to say, you don't take your schoolwork lightly. I mean, you don't make that academic all-state team if you aren't coming through in the classroom too. So I'm sure you take that seriously too.
I do. Yeah, you do. I do.
Talk about school a little bit. I mean, let's talk about you a little bit. You have a favorite subject in school? You have anything that you like more than anything else? I mean, obviously weightlifting, but
it's tough. I can't really answer that. As far as what class subject I like best, probably math, I guess. I don't know. None of these classes are really my best.
I don't even need an interpreter to read that. I understand that completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about your family a little bit. I mean, you got a mom and dad. What are their names? You got brothers and sisters. What are their names?
My mom's name is Kendall, and my dad's name is Edwin. I have a brother named Bodie. I call him Sooner. My dad's deaf. My brother Bodie is deaf. He's also athletic, just like me, and I expect him to have hopefully similar high goals for himself.
I was going to say, your brother, is he an athlete too? Is he out for stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's a good athlete.
How old is he?
13.
No competition in your house, I bet.
Yeah, you got that right.
I'm sure you've had a chance to think about the future. You want to go to college? What do you want to do after high school?
Right now, well, when I was younger, I really dreamed of playing college football, maybe NFL, but I don't think that's something that's going to be a reality for me. I also have a girlfriend now, and I'm trying to figure out what the future looks like, and I don't think that the former goal is something that I want to do. I'm really happy with like what I've been telling you about, my work ethic, working hard, whether in school or whatever I'm doing. So I'm happy with what I've done academically, and I'm looking to see what God's plan is for me. After high school, I'm thinking about getting my CDL and doing that. But regardless of what I'm doing, I'm going to be working out.
I got to tell you, a lot of guys are making that choice now. I got a son who's an electrician. I got another one who works setting up. He's a tech guy. He does all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more options than just college. I feel like that's probably a good decision. I was really happy when my kids decided to do that.
Yeah.
Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time to get to know us. And good luck to you as you go on. I'm sure we're going to be hearing from you again at some point here.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here too. Thank you very much.